video game!
So for those that are unaware, I love Final Fantasy VII, but I saw this video that popped up today, FF7's weirdest hidden content by a YouTuber named Gnosis or Gnosis. I don't know which one it is, so I apologize.
Final Fantasy VII is a game that has intrigued players for decades.
I don't even know what that's from.
Not only for its base story, but also for the mysteries and secrets hidden within its files. From the infamous debug room to urban legends like reviving Aerith, FF7 has
that was a talking point. Oh yeah, did you know that you can revive Aerith? There's a way to save her, and people believe that. But yeah, that was definitely an urban legend.
Managed to capture the imagination. However, one of the lesser-known aspects of the game is the vast quantities of hidden content that can be retrieved using a field editor. These discoveries allow players...
Now this I've seen. I've never done it myself, but speedrunners in some of the categories use this. It's like a debug room, and they go in here to manipulate the game to get through it faster and go to different parts of the game.
To explore unused text, background images, and more, revealing how FF7 could have been very different from its final form. One example of this bizarre, unused content occurs when Cloud is riding the train with Jessie. The unsettling track Who Are You plays, and if Cloud runs to the back of the train, he starts having one of his classic mental breakdowns.
That's cool.
A bit of dialogue for Cloud appears, saying, "This part is not ready yet." But what exactly isn't ready is a mystery. Was this text a placeholder for the game designers, who were supposed to add more, but eventually cut it? Or was there something more going on?
No, I don't think that's a placeholder. If it was a placeholder, I don't think they would put in ... Also, this is in English. That would be a translation of the Japanese where the placeholder would have been. So I don't know. I don't think that's what it is. But this is interesting. But I wonder why they cut this. You know, when he's going crazy. I wonder why. This guy almost has the voice for like scary YouTube videos. I don't know. Maybe he's got some scary ones.
Saying this part.
I've subscribed to him. It's not subscribed on here because I'm not signed in on here. I just use a generic account. Yeah, subscribe to this guy.
Yet. But what exactly isn't ready is a mystery. Was this text a placeholder for the game designers, who were supposed to add more, but eventually cut it? Or was there something more going on?
I just think it was a Cloud moment that they just cut out for some reason. Because it didn't seem any different than the other ones, although the dialogue's a little... I want to know what's not ready yet. I would like to know that.
Of strange content is when Jessie shows Cloud the train's route map. Ordinarily, we get a close-up of the back of Cloud's and Jessie's heads, but strangely enough, more detailed models of Cloud and...
Wow. That's interesting. You don't really see like this ever, this face. Yeah, it's just the back of their heads. A lot different. It's even different than it is in the FMV scenes. So I wonder if that's why they cut this, because you got the look of Cloud in-game. You got the look of Cloud in the CGI cutscenes. And this would have been like a third look?
Jessie exist for this part of the game. It seems that at one point, the designers
Or maybe they're like, you know what, Cloud, stop looking at Jessie and look at the screen that she's trying to teach you about.
The characters to have more detailed models for close-up sequences, perhaps to give the game a more realistic feel. But for one reason or another, they eventually got cut. If you dig into the game's files...
The final boss loves Jessie. Is this a different version or just stuff the guy is pointing out? This is stuff that's hidden in the files of the game. It's not in the actual game. You have to dig into the code to find it. So it's stuff that they either cut from the game or they were working on and never put in the game.
If you dig into the game's files, Jessie's more detailed model turns out to be just a torso. However, Cloud's detailed model is a complete
God,
and has an unsettling walking animation.
So they just made this just for that scene?
The next piece of...
Not meaning to use it anywhere else? That's like in Fallout 3, if you look at like the trains, they're actually like human bodies of feet underground or something like that. I've got to see this again. These
eventually got cut.
That's this Cloud model. The whole body.
Detailed models for close-up sequences, perhaps to give the game...
That was that big blob, and this Jesse one
turns out to be just a torso.
Yeah, this is awesome. Unsettling walking animation. It definitely was. But yeah, this is, I guess, zoomed out from that. The very pixelated version. So she doesn't even have any legs.
Model is a complete body and has an unsettling walking animation.
That's
the
great.
next piece of hidden content comes from Cloud's first visit to Seventh Heaven. In this version of events, instead of reminiscing about their childhoods in Tifa's bar, Tifa chases Cloud outside, where Johnny and his friend can be seen crawling across the ground, trying to eavesdrop on their conversation. From here, the game jumps into their flashback as children grow.
I want to see this again.
Where Johnny and his friend can be seen crawling across the ground, trying to eavesdrop on their conversation.
That's interesting. So I wonder if Johnny had a bigger storyline that was cut. Because you just kind of bump into him in different places and have brief conversations with him, but he really doesn't do anything. Not like he does in Remake and Rebirth. So I wonder if like this was part of that getting cut. This should be my new avatar. What, the Cloud? The fat blobby Cloud? Did I stream FF7 original? Yes, I did. It's all up on my YouTube, too. I have the whole road to Rebirth.
From here, the game jumps into their flashback as children growing up in Nibelheim. Back inside, an eerie scene unfolds. Tifa asks Cloud to follow her down into the basement.
He is making this scary, isn't he? Like Unsolved Mysteries or something. Like this is Final Fantasy VII. He's back inside. An eerie scene unfolds. Like I'm getting chills. Yeah, and the mystery music.
Back inside, an eerie scene unfolds. Tifa asks Cloud to follow her down into the basement. He agrees, and the two of them step onto the pinball machine elevator. As it goes down, we hear the sound of the pinball machine descending, but this time the sound doesn't stop. It keeps playing on a loop as Cloud finds himself suddenly alone in a dark space. He calls out for Tifa, begins looking for her, and finally starts to run in a panic. Then, in a brief flash before the screen cuts to white, an enormous Sephiroth is visible on the edge of the screen, prepared to strike.
So, okay, my guess on this is very similar to the scene when Cloud falls into the church. And when Aerith is, hello, hello, waking him up. That's very similar to that. So this was probably the first one that they were going to do. Now, why there's a giant Sephiroth, I have no idea, but that kind of freaked me out a little bit.
Suddenly alone in a dark space. He calls out for Tifa, begins looking for her, and finally starts to run in a panic. Then, in a brief flash before the screen cuts to white, an enormous Sephiroth is visible on the edge of the screen, prepared to strike.
Which you wouldn't have even known who that was at this point in the game.
White, the game jumps to the back of the truck that Cloud rides to Nibelheim with Sephiroth. They briefly discuss the mystery of how materia is made, hinting that Cloud's calm flashback might have originally occurred in smaller segments over the course of the game's opening hours instead of all at once in calm. The scene doesn't last long, though, and Cloud wakes up on the floor of Seventh Heaven's basement with the entire Avalanche crew staring down at him.
They reused this in Rebirth. When Tifa gets eaten by the weapon, and everybody's standing over her, like, talking, like, it's very similar to this. I wonder if that was a callback to this. But yeah, it does look like that that makes sense that if they had a flashback here with Sephiroth in the truck, that they were playing it off as a mystery, maybe, and then he would reveal it at comm, and you're supposed to be like, ooh, I wonder what this is about, perhaps. But maybe they realized, oh, let's not reveal Sephiroth until we actually show the whole thing.
The scene doesn't last long, though, and Cloud wakes up on the floor of Seventh Heaven's basement with the entire Avalanche crew staring down at him.
That shaky camera was annoying in that scene.
After this part, various other bits of text can be dug up from the game's files, but the next one I want to mention in detail comes from Wall Market, where there are actually several unused backgrounds showing the different rooms of the Honeybee Inn.
I've never seen this. So this is the Honeybee Inn. I wonder why they cut this out.
After this part,
so they're advertising one of the girls on the screen, I'm guessing. But this kind of looks like the counter in Remake. You know, it's not the same layout, but remember they go to the counter and the guy's like, you got like a 3-year wait?
Other bits of text can be dug up from the game's files, but the next one I want to mention in detail comes from
It's
Walmart,
like they got the prices of the girls up on the screen.
Where there are actually several
So look, we got all the girls on the wall, I guess, that you can rent out. It's a cool looking room.
Used backgrounds showing the different rooms of the Honeybee Inn.
We just got like a lounge here. So this, yeah, this is cool stuff. I wonder why all this stuff got cut.
In one of these rooms, which appears to be a lobby, a large television screen shows the girls working that night. Though they resemble Tifa, it's probably just a coincidence, because unlike these girls, Tifa has red eyes, and we already know that she's probably with Don Corneo.
Yeah, I don't think any of those are Tifa. She didn't work at the Honeybee Inn either. She just did the bride tryout.
Not at the Honeybee Inn. The text on the television screens describe the Honeybee Inn's special courses, a 30-minute and a 150-minute one. A quote from one girl says, "Chat with a beautiful woman," while another says, "How about some honey?"
Maybe
in
that's
one
why
event that can take place on this screen, Palmer wanders in from one of the other
Well, no,
rooms.
they cut this from This isn't even in the Japanese version either. This is cut from every version. So, yeah, this is all hidden in the game files. This didn't even make the Japanese version.
A quote from one girl says, "Chat with a beautiful woman," while another says, "How about some honey?" In one event that can take place on this screen, Palmer wanders in from one of the other
That colored
rooms.
text like that, I've never even seen that in the game
Beautiful
at all.
Woman,
The
while
flashing
another
colors
says,
there?
"How about some honey?" In one event that can take place on this screen, Palmer wanders in from one of the other rooms. Elsewhere, another unused background of the Honeybee Inn is a waiting room. On the wall, a TV screen shuffles between images of different parts of the world, at times showing places.
All right, so what do we got? We got Eris Church on the left. We got Cosmo Canyon. We got the Gold Saucer. What is that next one? I don't know what that one is. I can't remember. Then we got Rocket Town. And maybe the Shinra building. What is that fourth one? The deep dive in the music sound like a murder series show, doesn't it?
Like the Sector 5 Church, Cosmo Canyon, the Gold Saucer, the harbor for the Red Submarine.
Okay, well, I'm glad I should have just played it and listened. All right, so that's in Junon. I guess there's a way to get a different submarine than the one you get. I've never done it. I guess that's what it looks like.
The Gold Saucer, the harbor for the Red Submarine, Rocket Town, and the Shinra Mansion.
Oh, that's the mansion. It's definitely the mansion.
Finally, by talking to the guy on the sofa, he tells us that he stole something from the clothesline of Tifa's shop. He hands it over, and it turns out to be one of the game's unused key items, mystery panties.
Mystery panties? What do you mean, the clothesline of Tifa's shop? Tifa's shop? What?
Something from the clothesline of Tifa's shop. He hands it over, and it turns out to be one of the game's
I don't know what Tifa's shop is. What am I misunderstanding here?
Unused key items, mystery panties.
Mystery panties. So that probably would have been something that Cloud could have wore dressing up, but I wonder what the mystery was.
Look a little bit closer, it turns out that they have a childish design on them.
Only thing I can think of is that Tifa lives in her bar and dries her clothes outside on a clothesline. What do you say, Tifa's shop? He could have meant Seventh Heaven. He just said it weird then and stole it from her own personal clothesline. Then they're Marlene's. So it's definitely very creepy. If they got a child, they're Marlene's then, if what you're saying is true. That makes it even worse.
The last piece of strange hidden content that we'll look at today occurs when Cloud visits Nibelheim with Vincent for the first time. Things get strange when Vincent tells Cloud to tell his side of the story first, after they've just been talking about Sephiroth. Suddenly, the game fades to a dark blue, as Cloud presumably begins his tale of how he knows Sephiroth. However, this time, a large Sephiroth character model hovers out of the center of the screen and begins to grow as it approaches. The scene is incomplete, and the large Sephiroth model just hovers there, until Cloud decides to leave the screen.
Yeah, so obviously there was something they just didn't finish. They were going to do something dramatic with him talking to Vincent about Sephiroth, probably.
These are only some of the starker changes found in the game's files, but there are hundreds of little bits of unused dialogue and hidden content scattered throughout FF7's code. They paint a picture of a game that could have been darker and more detailed than the one we know today. If you'd like to know more, you can check out the unused text guide from thelifestream.net or
The unused text guide. Do more videos on this stuff.
Or check out some of their YouTube videos, which I'll put in the description. Which piece of unused content do you find the most interesting, and why do you think the developers ended up cutting it?
That was cool. I like seeing this stuff. Oh, he's playing the noise now that didn't stop. Yeah, this is definitely like the church scene. Yeah, that one was pretty cool. I like seeing this stuff, man. But yeah, I didn't know. The only thing I had seen in this was the debug room. Everything else was new to me. But that was pretty cool. Good video. Good video. Gnosis. We're going to have to check out more of his stuff in the future.